Happy Monday, everybody. Let's have a great start to the new week, and we'll start the week off with a bonus video about Equinox Gold, which I talked about in 2 videos in the past, presented the company to you. I talked to the company last week after I finished the 2 videos, and I want to present to you what we talked about on the call and what they told me and how that aligns with what I told you about the company. I think you'll be really interested what they had to say. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Okay, so if you have not watched the first 2 videos to Equinox Gold, I highly recommend you doing it. I think it's going to be worth your time. That's what the comments said as well. You find the links right here. If you find this content helpful, please hit the subscribe button. It takes you 1 second so you do not miss any content like this, content that is not talked about everywhere in all the mainstream media that gives you an edge in the market, especially in the commodity supercycle, right? This is what we'll be focused on, plus Bitcoin, plus some equity stocks. But the commodity supercycle is where the easy money is going to be made in the coming years. So why make it hard on us when we can make it easy on us? This is the chart of Equinox Gold. Let's start with this. As you can see, we're kind of stuck in the middle of this uptrend channel in the past year. Positive, we haven't even tested the downside, the lower end of the uptrend channel. That's positive, right? We usually stopped around the midpoint, but we haven't really broken out. Equinox Gold has been a gigantic underperformer. For example, this year, the gold miners, the ETFs, GDXJ for the juniors and GDX for the seniors are both up over 50%. Equinox Gold is up around 13%. And we're going to talk about why in a second here. Let's talk about the chart. As you can see, purple line, that's the 50. We got rejected on it on Friday. Now we need to see what's going to happen with it. Are we breaking above it? The blue zone that you see here is a historical zone. Let me pull the chart back so you can see what we're talking about. It's a pivot zone. So that's interesting, right? So as you can see, this goes all the way back to 2019. If we're above it, we go higher. If we're below it, we usually go lower. We're kind of above it now, trying to establish ourselves. We keep retesting it, but we're not falling below it, which is very positive. So at the moment, this zone is not that important. That will become important once we make a new high and therefore start a new up dynamic above this pivot zone. I still have this double support area right here in mind, around $5. That's the perfect entry zone if we get there. Not sure if we will, but we will see. But that's the situation right now. This is a time, do I need to run in and buy this junior here right now? No, right? I can wait it out. I can wait and see what is going to develop. That gives us a chance to talk about the company more. Here we go. So let's talk about Equinox Gold. We're going to use the presentation. This is the current presentation. They're going to publish another one. I saw the new one already. It looks way better, by the way. But for our purposes right now, this one is more than fine. So this is the mining portfolio. And you know the new Equinox is the result of the merger of the old Equinox Gold and Calibre Mining. What we have now is a fantastic portfolio. Basically, if everything works out, which is a big if, we're getting to it in a second, it's going to be one of the best mining portfolios in the junior sector and maybe even the senior sector. The new Equinox Gold is the 2nd largest gold producer in Canada when Valentine, which Calibre brought in right here, and Greenstone, which Equinox brought in, will be at full production. That is great. Why? Because the market gives the biggest premium to companies, doesn't matter what metal, that has the majority of their production in North America and has high growth in their production and a long mine life, and then also return capital to shareholders, which Equinox Gold cannot do at the moment, but that will come later. I told you this, what is it now, like 3 months ago when I was in Zurich at the conference. That's the new big thing. That's what the institutions want to see, right? Return of capital to shareholders. We're going to have dividends. We're going to have buybacks. All these great things going to happen. So Equinox hits 2 out of 3 at the moment. Excellent. Super high amount of reserves and resources. As you can see, 23 million in reserves, 22 million in resources. Excellent. Now, we have problems at Greenstone, which started production last November. It's actually pretty normal to have production problems when you start out. Greenstone is no different. The two problems were and are, they're below the target that they gave out to the markets. That's not great. And their all-in sustaining costs are higher than they predicted. That's also not great. However, the company told me, hey, we are on track to, the production guidance for 2025 is now 220 to 260,000 ounces of gold for Greenstone. And then in 2026, they hope to reach 300 to 350,000 ounces, which was their target zone originally. If they do that, then the AISC costs will come down automatically because a lot of it is fixed, which is true. And their goal is to get it down from 1,750 to a range of 1,400 to 1,600. That's interesting. Okay, so this is what they think will happen. Valentine. They told me they're on time with first pour of gold at the end of Q3. Excellent. That's consistent. That's what we want to see. They also said something really interesting. They said if the start of the production at Valentine goes well, then Valentine could, and I stress the word could, produce 20 to 30,000 ounces of gold in Q4 already. And those 20 to 30,000 ounces are not included in the 2025 guidance that you see here on this slide of 785,000 to 915,000 ounces of gold. So what does that mean? If there's no gold production in Valentine in 2025, but first pour goes well and everything goes okay, or it's like minor production under 10,000 ounces, right? Nothing negative is going to happen to the stock. But if they really ramp it up in the fourth quarter and already produce 20, 25,000 ounces of gold, that'll be a positive surprise, which is good for the shareholders. And that's kind of the story with Equinox Gold. And that's why I like this stock, right? This company has some problems. All of them are solvable. We need these problems right now. Otherwise, the stock would be at least 2 to 2.5 times higher than it is right now. So the only reason why we can get in and get it at a discount right now is because of the problems. So all these problems are solvable. They're all known to the public. So the old saying, if it's in the press, it's in the price, right? All the bad news for Greenstone, for example, the debt that we're going to talk about in a second, Los Filos, all that is known. So if nothing changes on that side, at least for part of it, that won't be a negative. But we have positive surprise upside if these things get corrected. So let's talk about Los Filos, because that's the joker, that's the super joker. They confirmed again, this is a legit bonanza project. It's the fourth largest gold deposit in the Americas. Not North America, Americas, plural. North and South America. Fourth biggest gold deposit. This is huge. This is really big. They also confirmed that 2 of the 3 indigenous communities there are indeed interested to restart working on the project. And Equinox is right now assessing the next steps, right? It's not clear yet. They did not confirm that they're going to start exploration again, that they're going to start doing that, but they're looking into this. My personal opinion is that they will restart working on the exploration of the 2 communities, and that this will put pressure on the 3rd community to come back to the negotiating table, because the mining business is the main employer, the main job creator in this area of Mexico. If the people from the other 2 tribes have work, but the people from the 3rd tribe don't, man, that's going to put pressure on the people in power on the 3rd tribe to get back to the negotiating table. So again, right now, the market values Los Filos as a big fat zero, but there's upside surprise potential. And if they get this thing off the ground, which is a big if, but man, this is a big one. It's about 280,000 ounces a year production, mine life of over 14 years, sub 1,400 AISC production costs. That is super low. Really, really great project. They put their focus though on The Castle Mountain Phase 2 project in California, I didn't expect this. I understand why they're doing this, because they really want to push that narrative of we are a North American producer, because that gets you the premium. And this, again, is the story of Equinox. Right now, we can buy it and hopefully we can buy it at a discount and hopefully at an even bigger discount if the market corrects, right? And then the plan is to ride it up to fair valuation, which is about a double to 100 to 150% gain to fair valuation, to then a premium because it becomes a big North American producer. And this then could open the door for Equinox being a multi-bagger long-term, not short-term, long-term, right? This is important. However, to do this, actually, you know what? Let me finish up on Castle Mountain Phase 2. That's the project they're pushing forward. It has the Fast 41, so that's excellent. If you don't know what that is the, how do I say that? The exception that the Trump government issued to some mining stocks to get fast-tracked on permits. They have it. That's excellent. But this mine will need some time to get into development. This is the next generation of growth for Equinox, basically. They told me they think the permitting process, the permits could happen in the first half of 2027. Okay, that's about a year and a half out, but that's the permit. So we can think of the mine is probably not going to start producing before 2030. So this is why this is not that big of a story to me, but for them, it is really important. So it's another good asset. This will be, or is planned to be, a 200,000 to 220,000 ounces a year mine. So that's a big mine that would lead to nice additional growth, right? And that's what I've been telling you. Equinox Gold is positioned for big time growth, which we want to see because that gets honored in the markets the most if they get this thing off the ground. I think Los Filos is the bigger leverage play, to be honest with you. But we'll see about that. Now let's talk about the debt. That is the big issue, right? So the old Equinox management saying they burned a lot of bridges is too harsh, but it kind of gives you the idea where I'm getting at. So they burned a lot of bridges with Wall Street and Toronto and Vancouver by overpromising, under-delivering, and the company carries a lot of debt, around 1.5 billion US, which is not a problem in this climate, in this gold market. They'll be able to carry this forward. This is not a threat to the company, but here's the thing. If you want to get institutional investors on board, you need to deleverage. And you need to show that you can execute on the operative level, which the old Equinox management did not do a good enough job at, as you saw in Greenstone. Now, one of the big positives of the merger is we got human capital added to the company through Calibre Mining, and these guys know exactly what to do on the operational level. That's their strength. So the plan is for the new Equinox, for 2025, especially 2026, is to massively reduce the debt, right? Deleveraging. That is the number one thing. And I love that. They want to use the money they're going to make from the gold mines to reduce their debt. They're probably going to sell off some of the smaller assets, I would assume, in Latin America. That would bring in some cash that they can use to deleverage. But that's what needs to happen. So if we see, I told you, Equinox Gold, if you want to do this as an investment, then your time horizon, at least in my opinion, and what I do with my shares, is the end of 2026. We need this time to really see, is Valentine coming along the way they said it's going to be, no big problems? Is Greenstone coming along? And is the deleveraging working? Because if all these three things happen, 3 of the 4 major problems disappear. The fourth one being Los Filos. Let's see what happens there. They can not influence what the third Indigenous Community is going to do. Like I said before, this is a joker, right? If you buy Equinox right now, you buy it for Greenstone and Valentine, and then far out Castle Mountain Phase 2, plus a story of undervaluation going to premium valuation in the stock. And then you get Los Filos as the big joker on top, right? They have no acquisitions planned, at least of the moment right now. That's what the company told me. That makes sense. They want to deleverage, right? However, if something great would pop up, they would probably be interested, but we will see about that. At the moment, not planned. Fair enough, they don't need it, right? They have really, really interesting projects. That's what I love about Equinox Gold. Their mining portfolio is fantastic. Not many companies have 2 monster mines in Canada at the beginning of their life cycle, right? And then you have the Los Filos Joker, and then you have Castle Mountain Phase 2. So there's no need to pick up another big asset. If something would come up, I'm sure they would talk about it, but not needed. So as you can see, overall, it pretty much is in line of what I told you about Equinox Gold already. Oh, real quick, we got a question in the comment from, I gotta look this up here because people don't use 850 Mr. Norton. And he asked me if I get compensated for company presentations like this. I do not. And I said that in the first 2 videos. I do not get compensated for these presentations. I am, however, a shareholder of Equinox Gold, been for a while. So there's that. And I fully plan to hold my shares. As I told you, this is my plan, right? You need to make your own decisions, obviously, if you want to invest in this company and how long you want to hold it. But for me, this is an end of 2026 type of story. And then we will see what will happen with this. So that's it for Equinox Gold. It's a story that carries not high risk, I would say moderate risk to low risk. Why? Because a lot of it is known to the markets already. But the markets now are clearly, and you can see it in the stock price too, at the phase where they say, all right, management, show us. Show us that you really can deleverage and get down from that debt burden. Show us that you can get Greenstone up to 300 to 350,000 ounces of production, that you can really reduce the asset costs. Show us that Valentine is really going into production. These things, right? For Los Filos, there's no show us anymore, which is good. So there's only upside on Los Filos for us. But this is the stage wherein I think this is doable for the management, mostly because I really, really believe in the Calibre management people. And that makes this stock so interesting because right now it is still valued as it was fully and only the old Equinox management in charge, which is really strong on everything that has to do with the capital markets, but not so strong on the operational side. And that gets fixed with the Calibre mining human capital that's coming in right now. So that's the end of Equinox Gold. This was just a bonus for you. I hope you liked it. If you like this idea of going really, really in depth into some of the mining companies that I find interesting, then leave a comment, please. Let us know. We'll gladly do it. I love doing that because when you invest in a company, you constantly should be informing yourself what's going on with them and know what is happening. I know a bunch of people in the mining sectors. I might be able to do some of these calls like I did with Equinox Gold. Get information from the management, what's going on there. If you have any companies that interest you, put them in the comments. If one of them hits my fancy, then that's the one we're going to talk about. However, requirement, over 50 million Canada dollar market cap. We're not doing the nanocap stuff, okay? We're not even getting close to this. What I love about this channel and this community is that we do our best, right? We don't push any stocks, nothing like that. So, once again, if you like this content, hit the subscribe button. And after you hit the subscribe button, enjoy the start of your week. It's going to be a great week. Bye-bye.